Hey, I heard you're lonely. I'm lonely too. Very lonely indeed. And I feel like I've been lonely for most of my life. And sometimes, do you ever wake up sometimes in the middle of night and you're like, what's going on in my life? What's happening? Why am I this lonely? And this makes me realize when I have this conversation with myself why I'm lonely. I know for a fact that there are other millions people out there who are also lonely, who also feel and resonate with what I'm going through and what I'm saying. I know for a fact I'm not alone, that we are so many. And mostly the recent generation, the young adults, we are the most people affected by loneliness and lacking friends. And this mostly happened after the COVID, because when COVID happened, everyone went into isolation. And many of us, that was the moment where we would have gotten social and gotten to know people. But unfortunately, this didn't happen, and we found ourselves isolated very much. And that has resulted to many of us, even for me, to feel this way and to be in this point. And lonely sometimes, and sometimes the loneliness becomes your friend. Like me, it has become my friend. And whenever I find myself around people, sometimes I see that as abnormal and not okay, because I'm used to being alone. And so when I find myself amidst people, something tells me that something's not okay somewhere. And sometimes I find peace being alone, and I'm used to it. And I don't have a lot of friends, to say the least. And I remember this happened, let's say, when I was a teen. That's when it started, because when I was in school, I don't know how you call it in your country, but in my country we call it a primary school level. That's the lowest level, maybe from the age of, let's say, 5 to the age of let's say 12. At that moment, I was very social in school. I had a lot of friends. I guess I was even the class monitor at that moment because of how I interacted with the people. I would just talk to girls easily. I didn't put much effort in making friends, and I was the noisiest. I made a lot of noise, all that. And it was a period of 8 years for us, but I guess the system has changed for us. But that moment, we used to join school for a period of 8 years. And those 8 years, everything was okay. I had friends, I was very social, and nothing was wrong until I switched back. I went to another, after completing school those 8 years, I had to redo 1 year, but in a different school. And I guess that's where the problem came and everything changed. I was living with my parents, but now when I went to another school, I started living with my grandparents. And that's where things stand. And okay, at school I would talk. Okay, I had to make new friends, but then these new friends, most of them seemed so grown up, so I felt like I wasn't like them. So when I was in school, yes, we would talk, we would play, we would do all that kind of stuff. But the moment I went back home, because it was a day school, I found myself just wanting to stay alone, stay home, and not just in the compound. I mostly loved staying in my room. That's what I wanted in my room. Every time my relatives would complain, like, why are you staying alone in your room? Why don't you join others? And I felt uncomfortable at that moment, but they told me it was not right. But I couldn't tell them that for me, I felt better and good staying alone. And this went on for a long time. Even when some of my cousins came to visit, I remember sometimes I could isolate myself and go do other stuff just to be alone. That's when I didn't realize then that was an issue. But now when I look back at it, I saw it like it was a very missed step that maybe I had resorted to this point of age that I am. And that's when in my teenage years, that's when I started. Now those years, I think that's why everything escalated as I joined high school. Then it was a boarding school, and of course we would just stay there, sleep there, and come over the holidays back home. And during school, when I was in high school, yes, I had friends. Yes, I was talkative, and everything was okay because, and I guess I think what made me talk and have friends in high school and not turn hope, because high school you have a lot of people, and you see and you spot people who are like you, and you see them for who they are, and they see you for who you are, and that makes you resonate with one another and see yourself in another person's viewpoint. And I guess that was not hard for me to be friends. And my high school, I think that was a moment to redeem myself. But unfortunately, when I went back home during the holidays, the same thing happened. I isolated myself, stayed in my room alone, and still I didn't go out. I didn't get out of the compound. So, and people even didn't know me in that area, They will ask like, who is this? We never seen him, because I didn't go out a lot. And of course I went to church, and when I went to church, that's when I didn't participate. You know how teens and small youth participate in activities like that in the churches. I didn't do that. I would just isolate myself. When the service was over, I didn't sing, I didn't do anything at all. I had no friends, let's say. I had no friends at all. And then I would go back home, stay in my room again. And my relatives kept complaining until I guess they were tired. And for me, I was happy with that. And that now brought about, after my high school, now I joined college. And still college, everything was okay because I had other friends, my age mates, I think resonated. I think the same thing that happened during high school. We were the same, we were people, like we had the same mentality, and you could see, although I tried my best, I joined, we were friends with a lot of, not a lot, but few people, and that was okay. But after my college, now things got tough again, because now you are on your own, you stay alone, and you don't go out much. And if you go to work, you just do your work and come back home. And it's not that I'm realizing that I love it being alone and lonely. That's how I find peace. That's how I am able to re-energize myself and find peace in what I'm doing. And I love creating content. This is one thing that I'm very determined to do. I don't feel afraid. There's no fear at all making this content, facing the camera. That's okay with me, because I know maybe I'm reaching someone who is also in my shoes and who is also lonely and who is also resonates with me. And that's the part that I love, because I know someone somewhere anywhere in this world is getting me and it's getting me what I'm talking about. And so that's who I am, lonely. Sometimes I see myself awkward, weird, abnormal, not like others, and I'm very okay with that. If someone comes and tells me that I'm not okay, for me, I find it okay. And the things that keeps me moving is realize that I'm not alone. And it's easy, you can spot. It's hard to spot. I guess if it would be easy if like you'd spot someone lonely and you see, okay, that person is lonely. Maybe we can be friends. Maybe I can go and talk to him or her, and maybe we can work things out. We can be friends. But that's not the case, because everyone tries to act like they are okay, like everything's normal when it's not. I think as human beings, we are good at that, at faking our emotions, at faking how we feel. We are very good at that, but majority of people who are roaming out here are very lonely. It's only that they can't speak. They may be going through a lot of depression. But you see, people fear being judged, because when you can't approach someone and tell them you feel depressed because of this and this, because they might not understand what you're talking about. They might not understand where you're coming from. And this really makes a lot for people and for me to interfere with people, because you fear they will judge you. Like for me, when I see people hanging out, laughing with friends, having a picture, I'm like, how dare you have friends? How come are you enjoying life with friends? How come it's so easy for you while it's so hard for me? But I realize that's nature. We can't all be the same. We can't all fit in one group. Everyone have to have their own paths that they follow, and that's okay. It's okay not to be okay, and that's very fine, and I'm okay with that. And everyone, I guess, should be okay with that. If you find yourself like you are lonely, that's the thing you can do to yourself. Don't go out there trying to impress everyone and acting like you want to be in these cliques of people, but you aren't like them, and it only ruin your mental health, and you'll go against your standards and principles. So it's not advisable to tell someone to just join these cliques and act like everything is okay while it's not okay. And that's very disturbing, because nowadays people are being loved for being fake and hated for being true. And unfortunately, that's very sad. For me, I prefer being hated for being who I am and for standing up for what I believe and being who I am, instead of being loved by faking who I am and what I stand for. I prefer to be like this, and I find it very okay. And I'm very happy at this. And this YouTube channel that I created, I know I'm gonna get a lot of people who we can share ideas, we can share experiences. These are my experiences that I'm sharing, and I feel like I shouldn't keep it to myself. If I don't have someone to tell, then maybe I should tell. Maybe one person will feel what I'm talking about, and maybe she or he can understand me, what I'm going through, and maybe this is the best platform. It might not be the best, but I love doing this, and I hope I can reach a lot of people who feel the same as I do. And that's very okay. And be who you are. I love it being lonely. Like, I don't even have a lot of friends right now. I can't tell you there's a certain person in my is my best friends. Most of my best friends were in college time, and to date we have not, okay, we speak rarely, but we've not seen each other again. I'm talking about like 2 3 years ago. And then you can see now the imbalance that is created by that. But for me, I find it okay, and I love the little things that I do that makes me happy, like going to the gym, reading, doing some crafts and skills, and teaching myself new skills. I find doing, I find joy in doing all that, and that's okay, and that's very fine. So I'm gonna leave it at there, and I know everything will be alright. And that's it. My lonely partner, my lonely friends, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. We don't have to fit in with the others, but we should stand up for one another and encourage one another. It's okay. And we should find happiness in who we are, because that's what defines us. That's it. Lovely to see you, and see you in my next video.